Well, thank you, Liz, for being here. My co-host, your dad, and your mom are on vacation, so you were very nice enough to step in and help us out.
I'm just saying it's not too late to have Casey be your co-host this week.
Let's see how this goes. If by end of the episode you see Casey sitting here, then we know why.
Yeah, valid.
Thank you.
This is Ring the Damn Bell, your weekly shot of Sixers news, stories, and heartbreak. Let's go trust the neighbors.
And welcome to Ring the Damn Bell. I'm Sanoj.
And I'm Liz.
And I felt weird saying that without my partner John here. But we got to do what we got to do. I hope you're enjoying your vacation, John and Barb. Your parents.
Absolutely. Yeah. It feels weird to be in front of the camera. This is backwards. I don't like it.
You have experience. You have prior experience with some podcast stuff you did?
I do. But, I've gotten far more comfortable being on the other end of this.
Right.
So.
And you're great on both ends, honestly.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I'm excited to do this with you today. I think we have a lot to talk about. It is a big end of season. There's 3 games left, and there's a lot of implications. Now, I know you watched some of that Spurs-Sixers game. What's your thoughts on that?
It was a weird game for me to watch. So I'm a fan of this podcast. I not only watch it every week, but I also edit it. So I hear your conversations. And one thing that you consistently say is if the whole team is there, they can beat everybody. They can beat anybody in the entire league. And I was firmly with you, but watching this Spurs game, watching them at full power, kind of has me doubting that a little bit because Wembanyama went out pretty quickly, right? He only played 16 minutes.
16 minutes, has 17 points.
He went out of the game, and they still got spanked.
You hit the nail on the head. This was a very winnable game. We're at full force. Wemby goes out in the second quarter after a little collision with Paul George. This should have been a win on our side. And instead, we flubbed it up, and we lost the game. And there's huge implications to this loss because we are now heading into the play-in. We're at 7th seed. And we'll get into this later, but with 3 games left on the schedule and all the teams at the bottom of the East bunched up together, it's going to go one way or another. We want to avoid the play-in. We do not want to play these extra games. So that's going to be tough. But I really like what you said there. And yes, I was 100% saying if the team is all together on full cylinders, Embiid is playing, and they actually attacked. They fought. They tried. They didn't give up. And I don't know how they lost.
It was a rough game to watch for sure.
The Spurs bench scored 50 points. The bench. And I'm watching this. Here's the difference between the two teams. Even without Wembanyama, they are so well coached. The Spurs coach, Greg Popovich, had to step down due to some, I think, health reasons. And his assistant coach, Mitch Johnson, stepped up. Since Mitch Johnson is the coach now, the Spurs have been on a tear. Since Nick Nurse has been the coach of the Sixers, they've been going downhill. When you watch the Spurs game, you kind of mentioned this in the beginning, is they have actual plays drawn up. They are all over the place. They're passing, shoot, passing, get inside, make the layup, get the dunk, passing. Sixers, what do? They just dribble around, look lost until someone's open, and then they take the shot.
Or throw the ball away. I saw that happen a couple times
that happened
game.
Quite a few times. Maxey, 0 points in the first half.
It's like watching a different person than who he was in the beginning of the season, or even in the more recent games before this. It was, I don't know what happened. I feel like when Embiid and Paul George are on the floor, when they're at full power, Maxey backs off so much and he doesn't play as aggressive as he does. It makes the game so much less fun to watch personally.
It's been a rough go, definitely. And this comes down to all of Embiid's injuries. It comes down to Paul George being suspended for 25 games. It comes down to Maxey having to take the lead of the team. And now that they're back in full force, we need to find identity.
Yeah.
We have 3 games left in the season. How are you going to find identity now? This is going to be an issue, again. Either we're going into the play-in, which is most likely, or somehow we get into the 6th seed and avoid the play-in and go straight to the playoffs.
I don't see that happening to you.
I don't, and I have all this jargon written down to talk about it because I am very frustrated with this team. I mean, I remember when your dad would always say you guys were going to all the games back before the pandemic. You guys were at the Raptors Sixers game where Kawhi hit that 4 bounce, and you were like, I remember you back then, like always a Sixers gear and so excited.
Oh, yeah.
And then like over time, it kind of waned a little bit. I guess I'm not sure. So what is your take? Like, are you still like a rabid fan or?
So I'm going to level with all you guys right now. I am not that guy. Okay. I enjoy basketball. I love the Sixers. I am definitely a Sixers fan. I am not an avid NBA fan. I don't watch every game. I don't go to every game that I'm offered. It's just a lot for me. I have a pretty busy schedule, and I'll admit, like I enjoy sports. I like going to games in person. I'm not a person who watches a lot in my own free time, with the exception of the Sixers for this podcast. But I got really into the Sixers when my dad, John, the co-host, when he first got his season tickets, I got to go to a lot of games with them, and that was when I was also living in Philly. So it was a quick 10-minute train ride. I would get to the stadium, have a couple of beers, hang out with my folks who I didn't see at the time because I was in college, and just, it was so much fun. And the energy was so electric because Embiid was still an absolute beast. That's when JJ Redick was on the team. That's when Jimmy Buckets was on the team.
You were at the best games.
Oh my gosh, those were so much fun, dude. I still remember every time Jimmy had the ball, it would just go, "It's Jimmy." And that was like my biggest hype moments. It was impossible not to get caught up in that energy. And since Embiid's kind of, I don't want to say fallen off, but struggled with his health.
He struggled with injuries, but he's making a comeback. When he's the only player on the floor against the Spurs who actually showed up. He had 34 points, I think 12 rebounds.
Yeah.
He's the only one that shows up every night. And this is something when I talk to your dad about it, is if we have Embiid, we have a chance to win. We always have a chance to win. And I don't know how they lost that game to the Spurs. And I want to also throw in the game before that, they lost to Detroit.
Yeah.
Cade Cunningham wasn't playing. So you had the Pistons without their superstar. You had the Spurs without their superstar. Now, in the Pistons game, Embiid didn't play. But still, those are two winnable games we should have had. So
yeah. And you know what? The highlights that I watched was actually from the Spurs perspective. It was their announcers talking. And the whole time they were talking, they were like, "Oh, Wembanyama's out. The Sixers are going to make a run at it." And it just never happened. They were off to a fantastic start. Like, the beginning of that game was actually fun. They were on a really good scoring bout, whatever the correct terminology is. And they just fell apart.
Yeah.
They just got outplayed, like, plain and simple.
This falls on the coach. Again, I mean, that's always the easy scapegoat. It's saying it's the coach, but it is. How do you have this much talent on the floor? You have VJ, you have Maxey, you have Embiid, you have PG, you have Oubre, you have all this weapons at your disposal, and what is happening? And we can say this because we watch the games. They're just running around looking lost and just chucking up shots when they have a moment. The one thing your dad mentioned last week is that, and we do say this from time to time, Maxey plays hero ball.
Yeah.
He just drives in 100 miles per hour and does a crazy, like a rock the cradle shot. And it works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't work, but that's not what we need. I don't know what the answer is as we go into the play-in or the playoffs. Do you mind if I break down what's going on at the moment?
Please do.
And I'm going to read these numbers out to you and tell me your thoughts, okay? So this is going to be the 5th seed, the 6th seed, the 7th seed, the 8th seed. Now, the Sixers are the 7th seed. So Hawks, 45 wins. Raptors, 44 wins. Sixers, 43 wins. Magic, 43 wins. Hornets, 43 wins.
Wow.
They all have 3 games left.
Wow. So
the Raptors, their games left. They play the Heat, the Knicks, the Nets. The Sixers play the Rockets, who has Kevin Durant and an all-star team around it, Alperen Sengun and all them. Then the Pacers and the Bucks. And the Magic, who's right underneath us, who's basically tied with us. Remember, these are the 3 teams that are just bunched together. And these last 3 games matter that much. The Magic play the Timberwolves, the Bulls, and the Celtics. So what we need now is, because they lost that horrible game to the Spurs and the Pistons, destiny is no longer on our side. Now we need help from teams losing.
We do.
So I'm going to look at this and say the Rockets, Pacers, and Bucks, we might go 2-1. Okay, so we need at least 2-1. 3-0 will be perfect. I don't know if we're going to get against the Rockets. The Magic play the Timberwolves, Bulls, and Celtics. Celtics is the last game of the season for them. Celtics are not going to play their players on the last game of the season. They're going to rest them for the playoffs.
Yeah.
So we can say that the Magic, there's a good chance they go 2-1. And then the Raptors, they play the Heat, the Knicks, and the Nets. I think they might go 2-1 themselves. So we might end up at the 7th. And then we will have to play. So all the playoff teams, they get a week off. The Sixers, if they go in at 7th seed, they have to play against the number 8th seed. If they win that, then they rest and wait for the playoffs. If they lose that, they play the winner against the 9th and the 10th. Then that's another game they have to win and play. What's the number one thing the Sixers need?
Health
and rest. And how do you get health? Rest. Mm-hmm. If we can go 3-0 and these teams lose some games, like they go 1-2, we can sneak into the 6th. So this is going to come down to these last week is very important. As I say this to you, and I think you understand the implications here, what do you think is happening? What do you think is going to happen?
Honestly, like I've completely lost faith after that Spurs game. I was so ready to watch them have this like crazy, fantastic comeback with when the whole team is back. Paul George is back after that suspension, and Embiid's back off of his injury, and it was going to be like this big crazy thing where Maxey's finally come to his own. We've got VJ. This was going to be our playoff season against all odds, but we finally got that game where they're all there.
You know what's scary? So if we do go in as the 7th seed, the play-in, we got to do what we got to do when we land at the 7th. We play the Celtics. The Celtics are a kryptonite. Your dad is a huge fan of the Celtics.
Oh, yeah, I know. He talks about them all.
He says it all the time.
He's got a lot of Celtics jerseys at home.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
I don't know why he pretends to hate them. It's embarrassing for him,
He's a big fan of Derek White. I know he is.
Loves him. Loves him. He's actually got a little picture of him by his bed. Kisses it every night.
I can see that. I can see him turning over every night and saying, good night, Derek.
Yep.
You heard that, John? You're exposed. We know it now.
We know.
Does he really have? You have season tickets to Boston Celtics games? Probably.
Who knows?
So I don't know. I'm not feeling too good about this. Now, at the same time, everything you read is now you tell me your take on this. They say the Sixers. No, this is a good point I just thought of. So in 2023, the Miami Heat were 8th seed. They got into the playoffs, the 8th seed. I don't remember if they did the play-in at that time. Maybe they did. They got to the finals. No one saw the 8th seed Miami Heat getting to the finals. And now there's a lot of talk about Sixers are not the team you want to, they're not your regular 7th seed team. They're a powerful team if they're firing on all cylinders, we think. That being said, like the players I just mentioned, PG, Maxey, Embiid, VJ, if they are firing on all cylinders and they're playing to their full strength, do you think they have a chance against the Celtics? Do you think they have a chance to get deeper into the playoffs? Are they a scary 7th seed team?
Absolutely. I think they are. But the thing is, it's all hypothetical potential. We haven't seen it yet. Like, we haven't seen that full powerhouse 76ers that everyone talks about their potential. And I believe you. Every time you say full power, we can beat anybody, I've always been on your side with that.
Yeah.
But this game, man.
I know. That Spurs game here, if we won that game, we'd be much better positioned right now.
Yeah.
We were at 6, I think, 7, 6. We keep bouncing between the two. We need to stay at 6.
Yeah.
Then for the 6, we play the Knicks. At this point, I think I'd rather play the Knicks than I would the Celtics.
Yeah, that's just bad luck for us for some reason.
It is. And then I guess you weren't at the games where your dad would go to the games and it would be against the Knicks and all the Knicks fans would flood the stadiums. Were any of those games?
You know, I honestly can't remember if I was because it's been a while, but I think I feel like I was just because I've heard the story so many times of how awful the Knicks fans are.
It will be a very rough first round also, I guess, against the Knicks. But we would have to go to New York first. You know, it's a road game. That's another thing about 7th seed. Obviously, yeah, it's a road game. You have to go through them. 4 games there, 3 games at home, and it's rough. It's going to take a toll on them. I can't say this enough. Losing that Spurs game and losing that Pistons game had dire situations.
Very much so.
Because right now we are looking at the play-in and we will maybe play 1 game, maybe play 2 games instead of having a whole week off. Now the teams are going to have to face against the Knicks, the Celtics, the Pistons, the Cavs, any one of those possibly. Forth. They're all resting right now. They're going to rest their players at the end of the season and they're going to get the week off.
And Joel's just starting his season.
He's been back and forth with that. But like when he does play, he's unbelievable. I feel bad. Let me ask you this. I talked to your dad about this too, Mr. John, as I'm going to call him now. Embiid has given his body and everything to the Sixers. He's never requested a trade. He's never got out the second round. How do you feel about Joel Embiid? Do you think he could not carry his team into at least the Eastern Conference Finals or third round? Or do you think he should have done more? Was he given everything he needed to succeed and it just didn't happen? Because you were at that Raptors game in the playoffs in 2019.
I don't know what happened. I remember being at that game, but it was in Toronto, so we definitely weren't. But
What I meant, you were at that series.
I was at that series for sure.
Yeah.
But it's... All right, listen, my mother, you can't watch this part, okay? Because I know you're an Embiid fan. Don't watch this.
Turn your head away,
Barb,
mother.
just go away. So I have such a difficult time with this. And I want to say off the bat, like I am a huge advocate for mental and physical health. If you need health and you need a break, you should absolutely take it. Like that's a given. But that being said, how much is Embiid's contract worth again? Just this 1 year?
I'll tell you, his last year, the contract, he's going to get $70 million.
$70 million.
In 1 year.
Basketball, the NBA is at its core an entertainment industry. And he is a fantastic player. But I don't think at this point he is a proven asset. When he's actually there on the floor, he's fantastic. But how do you justify $70 million a year, taking that much of the cap for a player that's barely ever on the floor? That's my biggest issue with him. And I get it. He is genuinely one of the greatest of all times. When he was in peak form, he was so much fun to watch. He was an absolute beast. He dominated everybody that he went up against. But he's just not that anymore. Honestly, I don't see him being that guy again. I feel like this might be his last chance to take a run at the playoffs.
Two parts. You just had his last chance. Every time I think it's his last chance, he surprises me and comes back, and he's still an elite player. Yes, he's been injured a bunch this year. Now he's played, in his career, less games than he's played.
Yeah,
so that's a true thing.
Such an absurd statistic.
But he still comes back in an elite level. Now, when it comes to one thing I am going to push back on is that when it comes to the contract, $70 million for 1 year, he's probably going to get $200 million over this contract alone. The reason they get paid so much is because whatever you're paying him, 10 times is coming back. They're not going to give him money. It doesn't always work with all the players, but Joel Embiid, he sells seats.
He does.
I'm going to tell you right now, and I told your dad plenty of times, when Embiid was not playing in the game, I didn't feel like tuning in. I did not feel like tuning in unless Embiid was playing. Embiid brought the excitement for me. When Embiid is playing, I'm turning on that TV. I'm telling my wife that at 7 p.m. or 7:30 p.m., whatever's going on, I'm turning that game on. We're doing it. He gets the ratings up. His jersey sells. The media sells. The media right. Everything. He's like an economy on his own. So I hear what you're saying. You can't justify the $70 million, and there's a lot of truth to that. It is hard to pay for a player who's always injured and not showing up. And what is he going to be by the last end? 2029, I think it is maybe the last year of his contract. Is he even going to be able to walk by then? So it is hard to justify. But when it comes to the money portion of it, the money's being made back left and right.
You're not wrong. That's perfectly valid. But that's the other part of it is he has given everything to the sport. He's given his entire body, like his entire future health. This man is probably, as you said, not going to be able to walk. Like he has done so much damage to his poor knees.
Yep.
I don't know. I understand that he loves this game and he's going to give it everything he's got, but like he's got a kid, dude. Like when does he give up?
I think a second one too now.
I think so. Yeah.
So I mean, NBA career is now 35 to 40 years old.
Yeah.
You know, the elite lasts till 40.
Well,
like
it can
LeBron.
be. I don't think Embiid's making it that long.
No, he's not. He's like in his early 30s. He might have to 35 max. You know, he might get one of those things where a team is headed to a championship, but they have what I call a donut team. Everyone around the sides is perfect. No one in the middle. They can plug someone in there for 15 minutes. Maybe Embiid can still do that, and he'll get like a generous contract, not a max or anything like that. So he might last a little longer. Some of these players, they go out to pastures that way.
It's so sad.
It is, but it's the name of the game. If they can still get some money and help a team, even if it's at a minimal level, I'm all for it.
Yeah. You know, you did say something that I found interesting. The reason that you tuned into games this year was when Embiid was playing.
I will say that when the Sixers started going downhill, in the beginning, they won a lot more games than we expected. They never went below 500. They always had a winning record. Even though they got really close to that 500 record, they stayed above it. But then there does come a point where you miss the excitement of Embiid, and the Sixers started to falter, especially around the All-Star break. But you were saying...
You know who I was excited to watch this year? The person that I actually watched games for.
I'm going to make one guess. VJ?
Actually, him and Tyrese Maxey.
Well,
VJ Max is a team.
Tyrese Maxey was voted to his first starter as an All-Star, which is saying something great. He was on the Jimmy Fallon show. Did you see that?
No, you guys mentioned that last week. I need to find those clips and watch them.
He's a bona fide All-Star. Me and your dad talked about. Let me ask you this. Do you think Maxey is a superstar? He is one of the leading scorers in the league. He's a starter in the All-Star. He was leading this team in the beginning until Embiid came back. Now they have identity issue. Who's actually the leader?
Yeah. I think he definitely was, if not already there, was on the trajectory to be there in the beginning of the season. And I think you put it perfectly. There was an identity issue when Embiid came back on the team, and he kind of lost that leadership role, or at least like gave up that leadership role to let Embiid have it back, or Paul George, or whoever it is behind the scenes that's doing it. And it was almost sad to watch, because I don't know about you. I have preferences when I watch basketball. I have been thoroughly enjoying watching the younger, faster, more aggressive and athletic games that have been coming that have, not that obviously Embiid is obviously a very athletic man. Like, he plays fantastically well and he can be aggressive. But when he's running the team, like the Spurs game, for example, I don't know about you, but when I was watching it, the game felt so much slower than what we were watching in the beginning of the season, at least from the Sixers. Like, they felt like they were kind of taking their time, thinking about it, passing it around, as my dad likes to complain about. They wait until the end of the shot clock is going before they're actually doing anything proactive. I think you're right. I think it definitely has a lot to do with the coaching issue.
What I will say about what you're saying, it was more of a slow-paced game, but what they were doing, which I was surprised actually, was being physical, and they were attacking. It didn't work in their favor. You rarely see the Sixers attacking yet physical. I think this might be part of why they need to find out who they are as they head into the playoffs or the play-in. So it was more of a slow-paced game. Maxey was just horrendous, honestly. He had 15 points, 0 in the first half. But I was surprised to see how physical they were. So maybe they were trying to find out who they were, but it did make for a slower game. VJ did okay. I don't know. I'm just a little worried about what's going to happen in the next week or so.
For sure. Yeah. I think you got it 100% right. They're definitely facing an identity crisis at the absolute worst time possible in the season.
So I mentioned that the Spurs bench scored 50 points in the game. That's an absurd amount for a bench. Now, do you know about, so in the playoffs, when the playoffs come, they stagger, right? You got the starting 5 playing, then they'll bring a couple players in, take a couple players out. It's not going to be like 5 new players come in and 5 sit to rest. They just stagger it. Now, Cameron Payne, who is kind of our budget buy, backup point guard or shooting guard, however you want to look at it, he's out now for 2 weeks with a hamstring strain. They're saying he might be out for 2 to 3 weeks, which means he's going to miss the play-in. He's likely going to miss early the playoffs. If we make the playoffs, we should make the playoffs. There's no way we're going to lose 2 games in the play-in. Our bench scares me. What do you know about our bench?
I know that my dad loves Dominic Barlow. And what's his name? He's got his jersey. Jabari Walker. There's actually still a framed picture of Jabari Walker in my house from the episode when he popped off.
You know, your dad and I joke about Jabari Walker a lot, and I feel like I've been vindicated if you look at his numbers lately. John, where's your boy Jabari at? I don't think I've seen him play in quite some time, and I look at his stats, it's like, you bought his jersey at the worst time.
Oh my gosh. But you know what? It worked out well for me, because the one game that I went to with my mother this year was the game that Jabari was crazy at. It was like, oh my gosh, I understand it. I get it now. He's amazing. And then he's never played like that again.
The one thing I try to explain about these role players is that they're inconsistent. They're going to have some great games, and more than not, they're not going to have average games at best. So that being said, Cameron Payne is out now. What scares me is our backup is our 40-year-old point guard who shouldn't be in the league right now, Kyle Lowry.
Hey, he was on the floor that night too.
Yeah.
He shot a whole basket.
I mean, I love Kyle. He's a great guy. He's been a part of Philadelphia. He was born here. He was actually born in the same area I was, in Olney.
Something special about a Sixer that's actually from Philly.
Yeah, it is. There is. Good point. And then he went to Villanova. We argued about that. Not argue. John and I talked about that last week, how Villanova is considered a Philadelphia, adjacent Philadelphia.
It is. And listen, I might be like technically 9 years out of college now, but it wasn't that long ago, and Nova was definitely a Philly college still. So.
It was huge. So, but this is the problem that we have. We don't have the right players in place. I was feeling good about our second unit, kind of. Now that it's going to be Grimes and Cameron Payne is out, Trendon Watford. We just mentioned Jabari Walker. We got to decide if Barlow's going to start or is Oubre going to start. It's not looking good. These other top tier teams, they have good players coming off the bench who know what they're doing. Again, I'm going to throw this back on coaching. I'm going to throw it back on Daryl Morey, our GM. I'm going to throw it back on our owner, Josh Harris. As long as their money is coming in, they're fine. I'm getting sick of us heading into the playoffs. This is what I told your dad one time, John. What I told John one time is through text. We're a good team. We're a good, solid team. But there's always one or two teams in the East that's better than us. We can never get over that hump. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I think you're right, but you know what? I don't actually see that as a bad thing. Frankly, I think it would be boring to always be the best in the East. And you know what? If you can say one thing about the Sixers, they're always a fun team to root for because they happen to be the underdog a lot of the time.
I mean, there was a period where we were always in the top 4.
Yeah, at least in the period since I've started watching them.
Right. I mean, I keep going back to that Raptors game, but we should have won that game and we should have went to the finals and won it.
That was awful.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have it here. Our Sixers bench right now. It's going to be Grimes or Barlow or Oubre, Justin Edwards, Bona, and Drummond. That's not a good bench. And again, they're going to be staggered with the players we have. This is the other scary thing about the playoffs. The starters play much more minutes now because it's the playoffs. You got to have your best players on the floor. Embiid, as great as he is, gets tired very easily. He's going to need to rest here and there. He cannot play 48 minutes a game. He can't play 45 minutes a game. I don't know if he can play 40 minutes a game, game after game after game after game in the playoffs if they last that long. So our backup is Bona and Drummond. That's not a good backup. I don't know what we're going to do about this.
You know what? I would favor Bona over Drummond, even though I think objectively Drummond is the better center, just because Bona at least looks like he wants to be there. Like he plays with intensity. He plays like he actually puts his whole heart into it. Drummond just doesn't look like he wants to be on the floor most of the time he is.
I think it's just that Drummond's just a big dude and it's hard for him to move around. Where Bona is extremely athletic. I always said about Bona, his athleticism is higher than his talent, which is true.
Yeah, fair.
It's true, which will make him a long time in this league. As long as you're athletic and you run and you try, like you hate to say this, but I've seen him grow and him get better. Yeah. And it's still not good enough to be even average. He's good off the bench in moments. But I think the methodology behind who they use, Drummond or Bona, is who the opposer center is. Is it a big guy where Drummond has to just stay down low, not move too much? Or is it an athletic center where you need Bona in there to cover it?
I hear you. So
that's my take on this.
Yeah.
We have a scary week coming up. We play the Houston Rockets tomorrow. It's not... it's going to be scary because Rockets might be fighting for seeding also in the West. They might. I think they're 5 maybe, and I don't know if they can win rest of the season. They can get into 4, and then that way, if they're in the 4 spot, they can get all home games. If it comes down to the lesser half of the Western Conference, I'll tell you one thing though, Alyssa. I love basketball, and I am really looking forward to this year's playoff series. I'm not even talking Sixers. Sixers, yes, please do what you can to get into the playoffs and surprise some people. If we got to go against the Celtics, let's surprise them. The Pacers did it last year. The Pacers took out the Celtics. Against the Knicks, the Pacers took out the Knicks. Why can't we take out the Knicks? It's possible. It's doable. But that being said, this year's playoffs is really exciting to me. The West, when these teams go up against when the OKC.
It's going to be fun.
The Spurs, the Lakers, the Rockets, the Timberwolves. Then you want to go to the East. You got the Celtics, the Knicks, the Pistons. If Cade comes back, the Pistons, the Cavaliers. It's going to be fun. Yeah. Are you going to watch?
We'll see. Well, I'll definitely be watching the later games for sure, going towards the close of the series.
Okay. All right. One last thing.
Let's do it.
As we found out that John and Barb was going on vacation, that you would step in as our special co-host, and thank you so much for doing this. This was actually a lot of fun.
This was really fun.
I really enjoyed it. I think you don't give yourself enough credit on your basketball knowledge. I think you're more of a fan than you realize. Like, you definitely know yourself. I know you watched a lot of Sixers before, so...
You know what the problem is? I'm too cheap to pay for a sports package.
I could tell you some shady sites you can go on.
All right, there we go. And we'll cut that up. Yeah. It's fine.
So, but knowing that you and I were going to co-host this week, I was thinking a few things, and I was thinking, when was the first time I met Alyssa and all that? So the first time that we met was when we moved here in 2019, and I got to know you a little bit then. But then the pandemic happened, and when the pandemic happened, your family, my family, and a couple other families in the neighborhood would always hang out outside.
Oh yeah.
And then we really all got to know each other, and it was great. I mean, I knew your dad well before that, but getting to know you and a couple other neighbors. So do you remember those times? What was your...
Absolutely.
This is so off subject, but to me, the pandemic, I have a certain fondness for it because I got to work from home. I got to know you guys. I got to know the other neighbors. And do you remember July 4th, 2020? I brought the grill out.
Absolutely.
And we're all just grilling and having fun out there and having drinks and beers. It was a good time.
Absolutely. There were some really fun times. I remember in particular one night, we were just like hanging out, standing out each on the ends of our driveway, 6 feet apart, just like catching up and talking. And I don't think we would have gotten to know each other as well as we did. Like the whole neighborhood, it was a really big community bonding moment.
Right.
And I don't know how it came up, but it came up that I was a big fan of sour beers with one of our other neighbors.
Yeah.
And he was like, I have a lot of those. And those are 9% alcoholic beers. And he was tossing me Sour Monkeys, which is a local Philly brand, Victory.
There you go.
And dude, oh my gosh, I had one of those and I was like, I could not stop talking. I felt so bad for you guys.
I was actually introduced sour beers at the same time, and I liked it a lot.
Oh, they're so
very
fun.
Good. So this was fun, Alyssa. Alyssa. I will go by
respond to
Alyssa
either.
here. Okay. So thank you so much for stepping in for John, your dad, and I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, it was really fun.
I hope we can do more of this. I know when I go on vacation sometime, maybe you'll step in for me, and you and your dad can fight.
That'll be really fun. He's going to be really upset when he sees this episode and finds out that I told everybody about his secret Celtics love.
And the Jabari Walker picture still.
Well, that's more of a me problem because I'm too lazy to swap the picture back out. But
well, this was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. We missed John. Obviously, he'll be back soon. And
he'll be back next week to discuss the big week coming up.
Big week coming up. I'm looking forward to that, John. We miss you, Barb. We hope you're having guys a great time on your vacation. And that's all I have. So how do we usually end this? We say, we're out.
Out.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
Just kidding.
Just so John doesn't get set. Please subscribe. I'm going to say it for him.
Oh.
Please subscribe.
Hang on. You have to subscribe because otherwise Sanoj gets sad. I think that's it, right? I do it? Yep. Cool.
I don't have the bandwidth to be sad over subscribers.
You know what? That's fair. Valid take.
We do this for fun. Anyway. All right. Thank you, Alyssa. I appreciate it. It was good.